Hello everyone, welcome back. Today again we will start with a new chapter, that is chapter 12. Okay, so this will be the last chapter that we will be taking. Okay, chapter 12, that is the national movement second phase. Okay, so the national movement was going on for a very long period of time in India. Okay, no doubtably, okay, they were doing a great role in fighting against the British, but it was not so intense, okay, like how it was supposed to be. Okay, it was only when Gandhiji, okay, it was only when Gandhiji entered the national scenario. Okay, what happened was uh, the movement for independence became very intense. Okay, so Gandhiji was born in 2nd October, okay, 1869, at a place called Porbandar, okay, in Gujarat. He received his early education, okay, in India. Later on, he went to England to study law, and then after he was done with his studies, he went to South Africa in order to practice law. Okay, so what happened was, during his stay in South Africa, he saw that there were so many racist attack against the Africans, okay, by the British people living in Africa, because of which, okay, he advocated his idea of satyagraha first in Africa, okay, the non-violent way of protesting against the British. Okay, so the satyagraha was mainly based on truth, okay, and it was based on non-violence. Okay, truth means satya and non-violence means ahimsa. Okay, so his satyagraha mainly focused on truth and non-violence. Okay, so what happened was, when he was working there, he did great role. Okay, he played a very important role for the Africans. Okay, later on, what happened in the year 1915? Okay, what happened was, he returned to India. After he returned to India, okay, what happened in 1915? He returned to India, and he traveled around the whole places of India. Okay, he traveled the whole of India, and he wanted to know the conditions of the India. Okay, 1916, 17, he spent most of the time traveling to rural places in order to know the condition of the farmers, and in order to know the conditions of the people living under the British rule. Okay, he also founded ashram, okay, which was known as the Sabarmati ashram in Ahmedabad. Okay, and he welcomed all caste religion to be a part of that ashram. Okay, there was no discrimination or nothing. Okay, and he also called the lower caste people as Harijans, okay, or God's children. Okay, and he was the one who popularized the use of chakra and the use of the khadi clothes. Okay, in order for Indians to be self-reliant. Okay, some of his early campaigns were, okay, his early movement was the Champaram Satyagraha. It was in 1917, where the peasant, okay, the indigo plantation workers were suffering at large, okay, because they had to pay huge amount of tax. Okay, and when they had to pay huge amount of tax, they were not able to pay that fixed amount, okay, to the European planters. Then what happened? Okay, they had to uh, get poorer and poorer, as well as lose their land as well. Okay, so Champaram is located in the portion of Bihar. Okay, you can just see in the map. So this was the condition of the indigo planters. Okay, so they were forced to plant indigo by the British people. Okay, and they were also charged high fixed prices. Taxes were being imposed on them. Clear, and it was not providing any food for them, and also the indigo price were also very low. The price for indigo was made by the British, okay, and it was very low. So Gandhiji, along with the indigo planters, they protested against the British, okay, so that they would increase the price of the indigo planters. Okay, and so this was also somehow successful. Okay, next we have the Ahmedabad Meal Satyagraha. This happened in Ahmedabad. okay, where the mill owners were charging very low, were giving them very low pay to the workers, and also the working condition were miserable. Okay, the condition of the workers was very horrible. They were cramped up in small rooms to work. Okay, and they were also not paid well. And so what happened was, these mill owners along with Gandhiji, they began to revolt against this British. Okay, so that is another movement. Next we have the Karai or the Kedak Satyagraha. Okay, so these happen against the tax, because in this place in Kedah people were facing drought, and then they were not able to pay the tax. Okay, and so what happened, because of the drought and because of the crop failure which the people were experiencing, the people asked the British government to reduce the tax. Okay, the tax collection. However, the British agreed that if people receive 25% less amount of crops, then their tax will be reduced. But when the Indians approach stating that they have received less than 25% of food grains, okay, then the British say that the Indians were lying, and that they were not giving up the exact thing. Okay, even though they are producing more and more, they are telling that they are getting less than 25%. So the British did not accept. So they invited Gandhiji, and along with Gandhiji they had movements, okay, such as protests, okay, in a non-violent manner. And so what happened, the British finally agreed to reduce the tax for these people. Okay, by 1919, Gandhiji became very popular because of his non-violent means and the way he was advocating among the people. Okay, and so these movements, okay, these movements were mostly inculcated with peaceful demonstration. Okay, the protests were very peaceful. Okay, whatever they were protesting against, it was very peaceful. Boycott of courts and educational institutes. Courts and educational institutes were a part of the British family. Okay, and so what happened, people began to boycott it. People began not going to the schools, not going to the colleges, not going to the court. Okay, peaceful defiance of law. Okay, they will peacefully break the law without any kind of violence. Okay, non-payment of tax. People did not pay tax. People started not paying the tax. Why? Because almost all the Indian society were paying tax to the British because it was benefiting the British. Okay, and so the people stopped paying the taxes. Next is picketing of shops. They began to take out foreign goods from the shops, okay, in order to replace it with Indian made goods. Okay, so this was how the movement went about. Next we have the Montague Chelmsford reform of 1919. Okay, so after the World War, okay, after the First World War, the British government passed the Government of India Act 1919, which is also known as the Montague Chelmsford reform. Okay, and it was initiated by Mr. Chelmsford. Okay, so this Montague Chelmsford reform was mainly based on two things. Okay, so what happened was the Central Legislative Council was made bicameral. Okay, so today we have two houses, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Okay, like this. Okay, it was divided. Okay, there were two houses. The bicameral legislative came about. Okay, where two houses were being divided. That is the Imperial Legislative Assembly. Okay, that is the Legislative Assembly. That is the Legislative Assembly, and the Council of State. Okay, that is the Lok Sabha, kind of a Lok Sabha thing, and the legislative is the Rajya Sabha thing. Okay, so this was made. Okay, the British government made a bicameral legislature. Okay, and they had two houses, that is the Imperial Legislative Assembly and the Lok Sabha. Clear? Elected members now form the majority, okay, in both the houses. Okay, next is they also introduced the system of diarchy. Okay, means when we say diarchy, means double role or dual government. Okay, so like how we have, okay, center and state, okay, these also divided the powers between uh, center and state. Okay, so here, okay, powers such as finance, police, okay, were given to the center, okay, which was looked after by the government. Okay, and small roles, okay, or small subjects, okay, in terms of education, public health, okay, were given to the ministers, because these were less important posts, okay, because they wanted the higher one to be more. Okay, so this act disappointed the Indians at large. Okay, and in March 1919 they established the Rowlatt Act. Okay, the government passed the Rowlatt Act because people began to protest at large all over the country, and so the government could not tolerate that, and they passed the Rowlatt Act. Okay, according to this Rowlatt Act, okay, the British, it allowed the British, okay, to jail any protesters without any trial. Okay, they will just be arrested and then directly sent to jail for 2 years. Okay, but what happened? Many protested. Okay, a countrywide protest was organized on 6th April 1919, which was observed as a national humiliation day, because Indians were being humiliated at large. And with this trial, okay, people, and with this Rowlatt Act, people had no freedom in their own place. Okay, and 6th April 1919 was observed as a national humiliation day. Next, we have the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, okay, which happened in Punjab 1919. Okay, so on April 10th 1919, okay, there were nationwide protests. Okay, so what happened during this time? Okay, two national leaders who were fighting and who were protesting against the British, okay, Dr. Saifuddin Kichliu and then Satyabal, okay, they were arrested by the British. And what happened? Okay, on 13 April 1919, a large number or a large crowd gathered, okay, when the festival of Baishek, okay, Vaishiki was being celebrated on this day. Okay, people gathered in a park in Amritsar, which was called as the Jallianwala Bagh, okay, to protest against the arrest of these two national leaders. Okay, so the peaceful gathering, okay, this always as always, okay, the protest was peaceful, and so the gathering was attended by many men, women, and children. Okay, so what happened? General Dyer, the military commander of Amritsar, who was working under the British, came to the park along with his troops. And along with his troops, what happened? They blocked the entrance of the park. Okay, he then ordered his troops to open fire, okay, at the people who were there in the park. Okay, and the firing lasted for almost 10 minutes till the ammunition of the guns ran out. Okay, and so a huge number of people, okay, both including men, women, and children, were being killed. Okay, and thousands were critically wounded. Okay, so the massacre, okay, this massacre shocked the entire country, and it led to a widespread protest all over the country. Okay, even Rabindranath Tagore, okay, who was given the given the title of knighthood, okay, he also removed his title. Okay, and later on the government announced martial law in Punjab. Okay, because martial law, and then they curbed all the freedom of the people. Okay, they tortured the people, newspapers were being banned. Okay, with this, okay, it was known as one of the worst massacre in India. Okay, next we have the Khilafat movement. Okay, Khilafat movement was basically, it didn't start off in India at first. Okay, the Khilafat did not start off in India. Okay, so what happened was, okay, it was led by the Ali brothers, okay, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, okay, in protest against the injustice which was done in Turkey. Okay, so in Turkey, okay, the Muslims, they had a caliph or a caliphate. okay, a Khalifa, okay, Khalif or a Khalifa, which were known as the religious leader or the political head of the Muslims. Okay, so what happened was this Caliph or the Caliphate, when the war was going on, he was removed from India, okay, and he played a very important role politically and religiously. Okay, he was the religious and political head of the Muslims. Okay, so when the war was going on, this Caliph was when the second world or when the first world was going on, world war was going on, this Caliph or the Khalifa was removed from his position. Okay, he was removed from Turkey. Okay, Turkey was also very important, okay, to the Indian Muslim, as the Sultan of Turkey was the Caliph. Okay, so that's how it is written in the book. Okay, so what happened was this Caliph or the Khalifa, when the war was going on, he was removed from Turkey, which hurt the sentiments of the Muslim at large, because Turkey was considered to be a very holy place for the Caliph, and without him being there, it was not possible for the Muslims to go on. Okay, so what happened was he was supposed to be in Turkey in order to look after the religious and the political matters of the Muslims. Okay, so the Indians, they were not happy. They were also not happy with the work of the British. Okay, it was the British who did it. Okay, and the Muslims, okay, they demanded the British to bring back the Caliph to Turkey. Okay, but what happened? The British did not accept this offer. Okay, and so this led slowly by slowly, this led to the starting of the Khilafat movement. Okay, and Gandhiji was also involved, and with Gandhiji's idea, they started off with the non-cooperation movement in 1920. Okay, which lasted till 1922. Okay, so why was the non-cooperation movement introduced? Non-cooperation movement was introduced because the British were being very stubborn with their words. Okay, they accepted, or they said that they would bring back the Caliph back. Okay, when it did, okay, they had a conference, okay, and they called Gandhiji, okay, along with the Congress. What they did was they decided to go for a mass movement, okay, in a non-cooperation manner, okay, where they would not use violence, and then they would go protest against the British. Okay, so that was how did it start? Okay, the starting of the movement, okay, what happened was Gandhiji, most of the people who received honorary titles from the British, they started refusing those titles. They started giving away those titles. Gandhiji also gave up the title of Kaisari Hind, okay, which was given to him. Later on, schools, colleges, legislatures, law court, elections to the legislature were all boycotted. Okay, were all boycotted. People began to not going to school. People started not going to the colleges, to the legislature, to the law courts, elections to the legislature. Okay, that was how the Indians protested against the British. Okay, and also the constructive programs under the non-cooperation movement were: number one, okay, popularizing the chakra, okay, the chakra and the khadi. Okay, the khadi, which is a cloth, okay, which is worn by Gandhiji. Okay, so you can see the chakra in the picture as well as the khadi. Okay, he wanted to popularize this because Indians began to depend on the machine-made goods on a large scale. So he wanted Indians to be self-reliant, okay, and to be self-dependent. And number two is prohibition or promotion of Hindu-Muslim unity. Okay, to promote Hindu-Muslim unity. If the unity was not there between these two groups, then they will not be able to win freedom as well as independence for the country. Number three is abolition of untouchability. Untouchability was existence in the Indian society for a very long period of time. Okay, and so Gandhiji wanted to remove this untouchability, because when untouchability is there in the society, then people will not be able to attain independence, people will not be united. So he wanted to remove untouchability from India. Okay, and next is the spread of education. He wanted to educate the people, okay, on various grounds. so that people would be able to know what they were fighting for. Okay, and this movement was somehow a success. Okay, it went on and thousands of people were fighting for it. Thousands of people were ready to go to jail. Okay, at the congress session which was held in Ahmedabad in 1921, okay, it decided, okay, that the last stage of the movement would emphasize on the non-payment of tax, because Indians were paying tax at large to the British on whatever they produced, crops or maybe spices, everything were being taxed by the British. So the Congress decided not to pay the tax, okay, in its last stage. Okay, so the movement was going on for a on a very good pace. Okay, but what have happened? Okay, on 5th February, okay, non-cooperation came to an end. Came to an end, okay, because of an incident, okay, called as the Chauri Chaura incident. Okay, Chauri Chaura is a place in UP, okay, in Uttar Pradesh. And here what happened was, the crowd of peasants who were revolting against the British, okay, who were revolting against the British, they became violent. Okay, what happened was they began to protest march in the village. And so what happened was they began to attack the British officers. They started beating up, okay, so they started the police. Okay, what they did was they started beating up the volunteers who were picketing the shops, and this angered the people. Okay, and the people started a violent protest against it, started burning down the police station which was there in Chauri Chaura. Okay, and nearly around 20 policemen were being killed by the people. Okay, so Gandhiji's ideas were based on non-violence. Okay, and so people resorted to violent matters in this place of Chauri Chaura. Clear? And Gandhiji could not tolerate this, and so with this, okay, Gandhiji had to withdraw the non-cooperation movement because the people in Chauri Chaura became violent. Okay, and so with this, the non-cooperation movement finally came to an end without any outcome, without being fruitful. Okay, so finally, okay, on 12th February 1922, the non-cooperation was suspended or came to an end. Okay, with this we come to the end of this class. Next class we will continue with the explanation, and we will get done with the explanation as well. Thank you and have a nice day.